you ready for garbage? Fina. Are you guys ready for Mania season now? Does it feel like Mania season now?
Triple H is absolutely ridiculously bad at booking, okay? It's not even funny at this point. Triple H is on a run right now that honestly needs to be studied, it needs to be looked at, it needs to be analyzed. He has somehow managed to indoctrinate, lie, hoodwink, fool, you know what I'm saying, the majority of the WWE fan base. You get what I'm saying? Indoctrinating them into believing bad booking, terrible lying narratives, all this nonsense, and the fact that he's gotten away with it is just it's incredible. It just shows you how gullible some fans can be. I mean, it really does. They justify bad booking decisions, stupid, matches, right? Stupid storylines not going anywhere. It's all justified under the umbrella of quote-unquote, let Papa H cook, let it build. You have to let him cook. He's cooking a 4-course meal. Like, dude, stop. You know what I'm saying? Just stop the nonsense. Triple H, is the guy who, after Elimination Chamber, he goes, Triple H is like, it doesn't feel like Mania season now. Come on, man. John Cena turns heel now. It's, does it feel like Mania season now? Well, does it feel like Mania season now? No, it doesn't. Mania right now feels like a B-level or C-level PLE. It's like a 2-night crown jewel. That's all WrestleMania is right now. And Triple H is the type of guy where at this point, he's a front runner. You get me? He's the guy on the basketball team that'll shoot like 20 bad shots a game, and then the 1 or 2 that fall and happen to go in, this dude goes like, yeah, you see that? You know what I'm saying? You see me? And then just ignores the 18 awful shots that he took. That's what Triple H is doing. And the fact that he's doing it, even more on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, I should say, is it just ridiculous at this point. And the first thing we have to discuss of how he's indoctrinated and brainwashed the fans is with the long-term storytelling, okay? Last year in WrestleMania 40, we had the excuses, right? Triple H was like, you know what? Man, we're going to do some long gaming, some long-term booking, some long-term storytelling. And The Rock is like, yeah, we're the long gamers, you know what I'm saying? I'm the long gamer. I'm going to figure this out. I'm like, dude, come on. Just come on at this point. The long game was not to have The Rock turn heel and end up fighting in a tag match with Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. That wasn't the game plan. The game plan was for The Rock to fight Roman Reigns in the main event of Mania 40. And then that was the game plan for this year until Rock was announced that, he wouldn't be involved in this Mania 41 as an actual performer. You get me? So it just gets to a point where you have to look at the lies. But even with the other circumstances, with the long-term storytelling, it basically gives WWE and Triple H an excuse to give us repetitive and bad content week to week in order to build us up, with a segment or 2 per show to build us up for the PLE that's coming in the commensurate weeks. That's all it is. That's all it is. You understand? So, for example, after Royal Rumble, right, we had a situation where there was Elimination Chamber matches, obviously, but the main narrative of the storylines and the main dynamics of the stories within the Chamber matches, nothing was really, developed. Everything was just repetitive segments with CM Punk and Logan Paul. John Cena wasn't there at all. That actually rhymed. Don't hate the player, hate the game. But anyways, the gamer. But you get the point. There's nothing really happening on these shows. You get a bunch of repetitive garbage matches like Ludwig versus Pete Dunne, DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns, Motor City Machine Guns and Pretty Deadly versus DIY. It's the same combination of jobbers. Lyra Valkyria versus Dakota Kai 2 or 3 times, her versus Ivy Nile 2 or 3 times. Nothing is expanding. Nothing is developing. Cody Rhodes comes out in his suit. You know what I'm saying? I respect you. I love you guys, you lovely people of Scotland. I need it. Like, come on. Just stop this stuff. This is ridiculous. Every single week, nothing happens. Your champions come out in suits. Cody Rhodes and Gunther are always in suits every time you see them. They're in a suit, or Gunther's in a short sleeve shirt with some khakis on and some loafers trying to fight against Jimmy Uso or Jey Uso. That's all it is. It's egregious. You get me? I don't understand how we're in this point where Triple H is giving us this bad content week to week, and people are just accepting it. They're just accepting it because maybe occasionally at a PLE you get a good payoff moment, a good time, a good segment, or a great match, or a great heel turn or something like that, but it still doesn't, it defeats the purpose. Why would I waste 6 weeks of television on garbage just to get one good moment at a PLE that gets no follow-up? We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's ridiculous. It's the same thing with this WrestleMania build. Why do you think that this Mania 41 build, despite having the same exact roster as last year, plus Cena and plus Punk being involved in this Mania season, and somehow this Mania season is a lot worse than it was last year? Why do you think that is? It's all on Triple H's booking, at least for most of it. That's just what it is. You can't have the same roster of talent and get even more. You get Punk fighting as an actual performer here, and you get Cena as an actual performer and someone here to build the Mania, and you somehow still fail with this Mania season because Triple H's booking is not good. It's the same repetitive stuff week after week after week for one or two good moments at a PLE, and then there's no payoff from those moments, like I mentioned, which again, we will discuss in a little bit. The Mania brawls are the same thing for all of these different matches and feuds for this Mania season. Roman Reigns randomly has a beef with CM Punk. There's no reason for it, right? Roman Reigns is in the Royal Rumble. Everyone in the Royal Rumble, their goal is to eliminate people, get them over the top rope, and get a title championship match for themselves. So if CM Punk eliminates you from the Royal Rumble, and you were just shaking CM Punk's hand at Survivor Series a few months before the Rumble, now all of a sudden you hate CM Punk because he did his job of eliminating you in the Rumble? It makes no sense. And then we're forced into a random brawl segment where Roman Reigns just gets hit with a microphone, and then him, Seth, and Punk start brawling for nothing. For nothing. And now you're going to have a face versus face versus face triple threat match for air. For literal air. And we're still hearing about, the favor. Trust me, it's a long-term build-up, but for months, we've probably already know what the favor is. It's going to be something where Punk can main event Mania, or potentially win a title, or Heyman's going to turn on Punk and get with Roman. Or he might turn on Roman, and get with Punk. Or he might turn on Roman and get with Rollins. But there will be some type of favor that's involved, and it won't even live up to the build-up and the hype and the payoff for what it actually was. You get me? The Mania brawls with Jay and Gunther. Every single week, there's no reason why Jay and Gunther should be relegated to doing the same brawl segment every single week. It's unbelievable. Are they not wrestlers? Like, what? Are they not entertainers? Can they not go on the mic and do anything? Is there no creative segments they can do? It's all just brawls and beatdowns? That's all you got? Shout out to Jimmy Uso for that legendary slap on Gunther on Raw, but come on. It gets to a point where it just gets ridiculous. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, they brawl for multiple weeks, and then you follow that up with an interview? Why would you have the interview come after all these different brawls? Why would you have the same Mania brawl, technique for every single feud? The Roman Punk and Rollins feud is a bunch of brawl segments so far. There's not really much happening on the mic, at least as of now. They're going to do the contract signing on Friday. We know that's going to be a bunch of words for 5 minutes, and then it'll turn into another brawl. And then you're going to have Charlotte and Tiffany. They're doing their brawl segment. Okay, Jay and Gunther have done multiple brawl segments. You're going to have the same thing. Io, Rhea, and Bianca have been doing multiple brawl segments over the weeks. It's the same thing across all the feuds. Penta and Braun Breaker. Back-to-back weeks, Raw ends in a random brawl and someone stands tall. What is this? It's the same stuff. And I'm supposed to believe that this is long-term booking? No, it's long-term garbage. That's what it is. It's the same thing every week, the same storytelling, the same matches in the same segments for nothing. And the same dialogue promos as well. Rhea Ripley has been saying, I'm going to take back my title, I never lost, yeah. She's been saying that for months at this point, for nearly a year. Drew McIntyre's been coming out and complaining every single week for like a year now. First it was Seth Rollins, you're spreading yourself too thin. And then it was CM Punk, I can't stop thinking about Punk. And now it's Damian Priest, I will destroy you at Mania. You're spreading yourself too thin. What? Cody Rhodes has been saying, I respect you, I love you, I need you. He's been saying this for a year now as champion. It's the same stuff. Nothing is being developed. Nothing is being expanded. Nothing is being improved upon. That's why you get things like bad promos and mediocre, lackluster interview segments and lackluster builds and lackluster moments where Cena turns heel, for example, and the payoff is just atrocious. And we're going to talk about the payoff right next. But before we talk about that, we have to talk about the other thing with the forced feuds and the forced heel turns. You know what I mean? John Cena turns heel and apparently allegedly sells his soul to The Rock. He's siding with The Rock. But then all of a sudden, The Rock hasn't been mentioned in weeks. He hasn't been mentioned since Elimination Chamber. So what was the point of this heel turn? Does John Cena even know why he turned heel? Like, why did he turn heel? Oh, the fans gave up on me. Yeah, the same fans who have been heavily support, doing nothing but giving him big pops for the last 3 or 4 years. He's been, showing up not here and there. That's it. Yeah, he had a point where it was like, let's go Cena sucks. But for the large majority of his career, the fans have supported him. But now John Cena has been reduced to a you people heel. You guys stink. You fans took everything from me. I'm tired of you. I'm going to ruin wrestling now. I'm going to take my title, and I'm going to run away with it into retirement. What? What happened to The Rock? What involvement does he have? Let me guess, is he going to show up on next week's Raw in London and everyone's going to call it cinema and peak? Because that's what fans are conditioned to do, is just call it cinema or peak now. Everything is cinema. Cinema. Garbage. How about that? It's just ridiculous at this point. And then, obviously with the forced feuds, we mentioned this was Roman, Punk, and Rollins. Roman and Punk have no beef, but because Rollins doesn't like Punk, it doesn't like Roman, we now are forced into a random triple threat for nothing. An air match. That's all it is. It's just air matches. Forced feuds left and right. Rhea Ripley forced into a random triple threat for the world title that she's probably not going to win at WrestleMania. That's all it is. A bunch of forced nonsense. Penta and Braun Breaker are probably going to get intertwined now with the Judgment Day for Mania. No Sheamus, no Ludwig. The guys who have been carrying the mid-card actually wrestling more than Braun Breaker and everything like that, who has the belt, and they're getting nothing for Mania now. This is all forced garbage. It makes zero sense. The heel turns make zero sense. It's just ridiculous at this point. And now we talk about the long-term build in the moments with zero follow-up. For example, Cody Rhodes' championship reign. For a year and a half or 2 years, they have him built to this narrative of I need to finish my story. I need to take back the belt and win the belt that my father never could hold. Cody Rhodes finally does it after 2 years. We're promised a fighting champion, right? A resilient champion. A champion that's there every single week wrestling or at least doing something, contributing something massive to the show every week. Similar to what Roman did when he was full-time. And even when he was part-time, he would contribute something to the show way more times than he didn't. And we're promised that on the back of Cody Rhodes, we're going to get this big boom period continuing in these sold-out shows and these incredible storylines and all this stuff, and instead, we got nothing. That's what we got. We got nothing. We got Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles in a mediocre feud that was heavily underwhelming and just straight bad at certain points. We got a one-off feud with garbage Logan Paul. That was a garbage feud. Logan Paul's actually pretty talented. I like Logan Paul as a wrestler. But the fact is that this dude was in a garbage feud with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes then has a bad feud with Solo Sikoa, all done in service to aid Roman Reigns' return when it happened at the end of at SummerSlam. That's it. Then Cody Rhodes proceeds to feud with Kevin Owens for like 4 months in a bunch of meaningless matches that we knew KO was not going to win any of these matches. Therefore, there was no intrigue, no drama, and there was maybe 1 or 2 good promos between these two in a 4-month span. It's ridiculous. It is embarrassing. You build up to these great moments. Cody finishes the story. Yay. Amazing night 2 of Mania 40. Yay. And then it's garbage right afterwards. You can't even keep the momentum for more than 1 month. Come on. The New Day. One of the best heel turn segments I've ever seen from WWE. A great heel turn. One that was very interesting. It was a little bit shocking. It was very, very off-putting. You know what I'm saying? It was great for the New Day. They needed that. They needed some type of resurgence in their careers. And they got it. They turned on Big E. They got it. And what have they done since? What have they done? Feud with Dragon Lee? Fight Rey Mysterio 5 times? Fight the LWO 5 times and lose half of them? That's the best that you can do for the New Day? It's just, come on. Just come on. It's so just sad what's happening to these storylines and these wrestlers. But we're supposed to be told to believe that this is great storytelling. It's long-term booking, but the booking has no payoff. Solo Sikoa has a heel run all year just to get jobbed out to Roman Reigns on Raw and Netflix, and then proceeds to to nearly get pinned by Braun Strowman if it wasn't for Tama Tonga interference on SmackDown. And now he looks like a little bro to Jacob Fatu. This is sad. John Cena's heel turn. Amazing moment, yeah, in itself, a good shock factor moment done for a cheap pop to reignite any sort of hype in the Mania 41 season because it needed it. But then that heel turn happens. Cena doesn't show up for 2 or 3 weeks, finally shows up and offers nothing on the mic. Really, he offers nothing. People are complaining about this recent promo segment between him and Cody because nothing's happening. He's not talking to Cody at all. He's saying nothing to Cody or about Cody. It's just, I hate the fans, I hate the fans, I hate the fans. That's it. What are we supposed to do with this? Another great moment with awful payoff and awful after effects. CM Punk. For a year now, we've been talking about him main eventing Mania, winning World Championship gold. Obviously, part of it got delayed because of the injury, but since he's been back, what has he accomplished? Yeah, he's been good on the mic. He's had a couple solid matches, but he hasn't realized his full potential because now Mania season is around us again, and he's going to be doing a meaningless triple threat match, wrestling for air. Again, another air match for CM Punk. And this favor's been drawn out into oblivion, and nothing's come from it. Nothing. You think the favor's going to be worth it by the time it happens at Mania? Of course not. He ain't winning the WWE Championship from Cody or Cena on night 2. He ain't winning nothing from Jey Uso for the world title. He ain't doing that. CM Punk's going to be, that favor is going to be irrelevant. Just trust me on that. It will be, most likely, it will be irrelevant. And then you also have other stuff like Roman Reigns' OTC arc, which has largely been garbage. He comes back. Oh yeah, the OTC, we're going to build this up 5 months to win the Ula Fala. So you spend 5 months to win the Ula Fala off of a jobber like Solo Sikoa, and now you're wrestling a no-name, nobody match with Seth Rollins and CM Punk for air. Really? All of these long-term builds and these quote-unquote long-term stories that are apparently let Papa H cook. Look at the endgame of it. The endgame. Watch. And now look at it. All of it looks terrible. It looks abysmal. So, I'm done. I've had absolutely enough with this long-term booking. And the fact that fans are sitting back and fans now have to justify this garbage. They have to sit here and make excuses for themselves. Oh, well, this is fine because John Cena's doing this because this absolutely makes sense. He turned heel and said the fans aren't going to get anything that they deserve. But every single fan in every specific country and every specific city gets a brand new John Cena merch shirt. You know, but the fans don't deserve anything from me. If they didn't deserve anything, John Cena would come out there in a plain black t-shirt and a plain black hat and plain black pants and some shoes. If they didn't deserve anything. So clearly he's still the same John Cena to an extent. There's nothing to differentiate him from the other John Cenas except for the fact that he's just yelling now and he's upset at the fans. Other than that, it's the same person. And obviously, lastly, to speak about the lies to the public, you know, the public WWE fans are believing these lies that WWE is the best it's ever been. WWE is the best it's ever doing. You know, say the business is booming, yada, yada, yada. I think one of the reports, I think, for this year was that WWE, for the first time in a little while, had reported like a loss, you know what I'm saying, on their update on their like investments or how much money they were making, their profits or whatever. They had a profit decrease over the last quarter, last 2 quarters or whatever it was. So clearly things aren't doing what they used to do. They haven't been talking about, oh, we sold out this place. We sold out that place. We had the largest gate this. We sold this out. This is our 50th sale of the year. None of that. They were doing all that last year, and now they're not doing it at all. Why do you think that is? You know, just think about it for a second. But that fans have already been indoctrinated into believing lies. Oh, yeah, guys, WWE is the best it's ever been. This roster is the best it's ever been. No, it's not. Go back and look at any roster from the 2000s, any of that stuff. You have like 10 to 15 Hall of Famers walking around the roster. Now you look at the roster. Who in the last 5 years has come along and will actually enter the Hall of Fame? Be real with yourself. Huh? Gunther? Is Gunther going to the Hall of Fame? Huh? I mean, I guess so because he's an IC champ for 600 days. But that, even then, I mean, is he really a Hall of Fame level talent? Is Cody Rhodes a Hall of Fame level talent? Huh? Is LA Knight a Hall of Fame level talent? He has talent to be in the Hall of Fame, but he's too late now. He's had 2 U.S. title reigns and however many years he's been in the industry, decades now, and that's a Hall of Famer? Even though I like LA Knight? Come on. It's over. Stop lying to the fans, and the fans need to stop believing it. But until they stop believing it, we're going to continue to get garbage and BS narratives thrown in our faces, and the fans are going to continue to eat it up and eat up the bad content that they're being fed. So with that being said, that rhymed again, don't hate the player, hate the game. You dig? Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. I respect you. I love you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.